Peace and blessings, everybody. Thanks for your patience. We had a little bit of technical difficulty getting the stream up, but we are here. We've got my sister, yeah, who looks very frustrated.
Hello.
How you doing, my sister? How's it going?
Oh, good, brother. You made it. You got it going. You got it fixed.
We got it going. We got it going. Thanks to everybody who stayed in the room to watch live. Thanks for everybody commenting. Good morning and well wishes. Sometimes we have these kind of difficulties, but we're here.
No
That's
doubt.
what's important. We're still here.
That's right. That's right.
Forward
So we're gonna
ever.
start off this show.
Backwards never.
What you say?
Forward ever. Backwards never.
Y'all
That's
already
right.
know. For whatever, backwards never. We want to start off today's show, Exodus Radio. First of all, everybody, welcome to Exodus Radio. This was something that was started out of the need to be able to communicate with you all ongoing about what's happening with the Exodus. Try and bring some understanding to any of the confusions that you may have when it comes to repatriating or connecting with the continent, getting involved. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you guys for hanging around with us during the delay. These things happen, but we get through it. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about something really important. The misinformation that goes around in reference to Africa can be damaging to the future of people who are looking to engage. And so we wanted to dedicate a show to dispelling those myths and talking about how even the ignorance of not knowing some things can potentially put you in either harm's way or make your road a little more challenging. So welcome again to the Exodus Alliance. I'm here with Sister Ya, who's in Ghana, and Chief Foday, who's in Sierra Leone. Brother and sister, how y'all doing?
Yeah,
Great.
peace
Doing
and
good,
blessings.
brother.
How you doing,
So,
brother?
what's it looking like in Sierra Leone right now, Brother Chief? What's the scenery down there right now, man?
Well, right now, the government is beginning to ease up from the COVID lockdown. I hope everybody can hear me because last time there was something wrong with my people being able to hear me. But Sierra Leone, no problem, man. It's beautiful right now. The dry season is coming in. We got the Hamatan right now. For those of you who don't know, that will be moving to West Africa, we have a transitional season. It's called Hamatan. And during Hamatan is the only time in the year that you have ash. You have ash on your fingers. And so, yeah, and so our people, this is the time where they wear the shea butter. They call it Madoni. So you have to wear the shea butter here right now, or you're gonna get ashy knuckles.
Wow.
So right now the weather is like that. It's called the Hamatan season. It's right between the rain season and the dry season. The breeze begins to blow from Europe. It blows
Right.
across the Sahara, and
Mhm.
it breezes the whole West Africa off. We got
Nice.
natural air conditioning right now. So other
Right
than
now.
with COVID-19, everybody's still trying their best to stay safe, but the government has lessened some things. They had a curfew going on that they just removed like last week, 2 weeks ago. And so
Nice.
we're waiting to see what they're going to do because we have a big festival coming up that they have every year at the National Stadium, and we want to be able to go there and vend. And so right now there's nothing on right now, so we're still waiting. We're still hoping and praying and begging and
See how
struggling.
we'll see how that turns
Uh,
out.
uh,
We'll see how that.
Chief Foday. Foday, you
Yes.
know what my husband, when you're in the beginning of your relationship, how you guys like to throw all that sweet talk on you. My husband used to tell me, and I didn't even know what he was talking about at the time. He's like, you sweet like Hamatan Popo.
Yeah, yeah.
because papaya is not, really around doing Hamatan. So if you get some, it's so sweet. So he was like, oh, you sweet like Hamatan Popo.
That's right. That's right.
Uncle Tom
Yeah.
Popo. Nice. What about in Ghana right now? What's going on with the COVID restrictions, Sister? Yeah, you guys still seeing any measures with that, or is everything calmed down?
Everything is fine over here. Listen, since I entered the country, it's like people know about COVID. You see people wearing masks, but really, I mean, it's kind of lackadaisical. Um, you know, they just, from my understanding, they said when it first came out, everybody was kind of scared. Like even if you would cough, people were running away from you. But after
Hey, don't cough
after
around me.
yeah, so you dare not cough in the beginning of it. You just have to hold it in.
What about
But
when you enter like major buildings? Are they still like doing temperature scans and all that kind of stuff at the doors?
yeah, if you want to go into the stores and stuff like that, they have the wash basins there and the soap and the hand sanitizer. And they taking temperatures, but according to the people, and I've asked around, nobody knows anybody who's had COVID. Nobody knows anybody who's died from COVID. And with a country this small, what they're saying is they don't really believe it, that there's anybody here that had it because we would at least know one person, done is only
Somebody,
like 25 million people. And,
right?
nobody knows anybody that's been sick with it or anything. So they're still, basically following protocol. But listen, you can still go out, social gathering, people doing their thing for the most part.
Exactly.
Nobody's
Exactly.
really, really, really worried about it. They think the government is just saying that to get World Health Organization money.
Funding,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah, no, I
so they
mean
like,
we same thing here. I mean it's pretty lackadaisical the measures now. I mean in weeks past it was even a little more stricter on things like drivers having to wear masks and things like that. But you're starting to see all those things tail off. I think the one thing that you are still seeing is people using the distance protocols in like specific businesses. They're make sure the tables are a little more distant, making sure that they're staying disinfected. So still some measures, and I think these are the good things that we can take out of this pandemic is the need
Yeah,
for
even if there
cleanliness
were
and the
no
need
COVID,
for
these are good things.
right.
Yeah.
These are things that we should be doing. So that's good, man. And to everybody in the states and in the West where there's a surge happening at right now, or that we hear, hopefully you guys can stay safe, stay healthy. Continue doing what you guys have to do to make sure your families can make it through this thing strong and better than before. So we send our love out. So today we're supposed to be talking about, dispelling some myths. All right. We're going to be bringing a few of those myths that we hear circulating, obviously online. We're in a lot of different groups and a lot of different media circulating, and everybody has something to say. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got an outlet, a platform, but not everybody is necessarily keeping it 1,000. So we're gonna go through some of the most commonly heard myths and whatnot circulating around the continent and the diaspora community. You guys can tell us in the comments what you think about some of these things. We're going to give you our opinions, and then we'll try and see if we can come to an understanding. So I want to start with my brother Chief. Chief, talk to us, man. Sierra Leone, you've been here the longest. You're actually the veteran of us on
yeah.
this call. What have you been hearing? What's one thing, and we'll come back and circle back around, we'll get another thing from you, but what's one thing that you hear a lot that is completely either false or exaggerated information that tends to keep the diaspora and local Africans from connecting and building?
Right. Okay. So I'll go first. I ain't got no problem with that. Um, Slavery only happened in the Americas. There's a lot of Africans on the continent that don't accept that slavery started here.
Hmm.
They don't accept that it didn't just happen to the African Americans and the Jamaicans. They had plantations all up and down this coast.
Right.
And so there was a systematic labor force that was mobilized by force that
Mm.
had to feed the European settlements in Africa. How did they eat? Who fed them? Who built the castles? Was it them? What labor did they
Mm.
use? And so, even though we recognize that there were collaborators who helped to facilitate the transport of our ancestors by force and chains to the hands of white people, and then the rest is history. We forget that slavery wasn't outlawed in Sierra Leone until the 1920s.
Hmm.
Yeah, that slavery was outlawed. It still exists in legal form in certain places right now in Africa,
Right
and
now.
especially in the traditions. You still have caste systems. You can have someone that's not a slave, that's not a chattel, but they would be in a subordinate caste within their group and can only go but so far in terms of social mobility. They might not be able to marry into other lineages within their own group. And
Right.
so you got a lot of that, but slavery um, was here. Human captivity was happening here for thousands of years before a European ever stepped foot here. We
That's
had a
right.
system of we had a system of bondage. It was integrated into our system of warfare and dealing with justice.
Hmm.
If I owed you some money, if I killed your child, I might end up under your rule. You never know what can happen.
Hmm.
If my group start fighting your group, I might end up your servant if I get
Right.
captured. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's
But
right.
for us, it wasn't an inhumane thing because it was a condition. It wasn't an inhumane thing, not in our
Hmm.
own philosophy,
That's right.
because we understood it as our culture. We didn't understand it as something that was destructive to society,
That's
because
right.
those people who were held in those castes and on those lower levels, they still had rights. They had a lot of rights. They still was able to over a certain amount of years work it off like sharecroppers almost is how they kind of subsisted.
Right.
They
Right. There
still
was a
had
way
land
out.
rights. They still had land rights. They could marry.
A lot of
They could
times their
have children.
children weren't born into slavery either. Their children
Absolutely,
were born free. Right.
absolutely. So it was a
And
condition. It was a
sometimes
condition.
those people, I'm sorry, but and sometimes in history we've seen where those people rose up in those
Right.
Oh yeah,
families and in those foreign people's captivity and became the rulers and the leaders.
that's
That's
right.
right. That's right.
That's
So
We've
right.
seen that many times. That's right. That's
That's right.
absolutely right. And we definitely got to understand that, what we experienced in the West was totally different than anything that has been experienced on this planet in recorded history. And I think that's important to remember, and also for our continental brothers and sisters who are familiar with the happenings of the Western transatlantic slave trade. There's a lot of trauma that came out of that, and it was definitely different than what was practiced anywhere else. So this is something that we have to understand as brothers and sisters. When it comes to reconnecting and getting to know one another and being able to help each other heal, these things are important to know.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
also the Arab slave trade, which started long before the European slave trade, was just as barbaric as the European.
Oh, absolutely,
They
absolutely.
were
Well,
castrating our brothers and doing all type of things.
Right,
So
right. And these practices were widely used. If you look
oh,
at Egypt, a lot of people, have the romanticism with Egyptology and Egypt history, but in fact, the people of Egypt were among the worst slavers in history as well. And our people had to exodus from there because of their treatment. So we have to understand that this was definitely something that was widely practiced, like you said, with the Arabs, with Egypt, with the Egyptians, and then with the Europeans. We
yeah,
have to guard ourselves against these things moving forward.
but
ab-
we know also that Egypt had many different dynasties which were
Over
ruled
time.
by different
yeah,
races of people.
Right,
So
yeah,
we have
right.
to be very specific on when you say Egyptians, which ones were they? Was
Right,
this
yeah,
under Greek?
yeah,
You
right,
know what I'm saying?
right. That's
yeah,
So
right.
yeah.
This is
yeah.
true.
Hey,
All of
sis.
these
We
things are
can't just
historically
say that.
important
I
to
mean,
understand.
to just
Hmm.
say Egyptian would be the equivalent of just saying American. America is made up a bunch of different people, but
Absolutely.
Well, more
yeah.
so,
But
more
in
so, it's
Egypt,
like more so, it's
you had different periods of time where Egypt was conquered and ruled by other races of people.
Absolutely,
right,
absolutely. Just to add to
and
what Sister Yah is saying, absolutely. We know that Kemet, what the European Greek came and said
right,
was Egypt. Um, it was colonized by foreigners from Asia as well as Europe,
for a
but it
while,
was but but it was settled by Africans from North Africa as well as from the
and
Sudan
built
coming
by
up.
Africans, built by
Ab-
Africans, yeah,
Absolutely. So
Africa, yeah, all
yeah.
along.
And so anytime they would invade us, whenever we took power back, we took them captive, and they would be a lower caste.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
I'm talking about the Assyrians. I'm talking about the Sea people,
Right. The Greeks
Greeks,
even.
the
Right.
Romans,
Right.
before the Arabs. So you understand that a lot of these groups in West Africa are migrated groups that ran from the Nile Valley to the Niger River Valley.
Right.
And so that's why we got the consistency in our phenotypes and things like that from Sudan to Senegal.
Right. 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 And you still see a lot of those people in those Arab countries, the same black tribes that have been traveling through there for generations and generations. You go into Senegal's neighboring Mauritania, where the people are generally lighter skinned Arab looking people. They have tribes there that are black,
Yes.
Yeah,
black,
Ancient.
yeah,
and we see that
yeah.
all across
Same
North
in
Africa. And
Ethiopia.
Right,
Same in
same
Ethiopia. A
thing,
lot of people
Yeah.
same
want to
thing.
think all Ethiopians have a certain phenotype, like the Eritreans and stuff, and the Somalian. But no, there are
They don't.
black
For
Ethiopians
sure.
who,
And then we have to
yeah,
remember also this is something to remember about the continent people that all of these countries have sometimes dozens, if not hundreds, of tribes. So a lot of times we like to lump things together. Just as Sister Yah was saying a minute ago, and Brother Foday, we have to pay attention to the fact that just we might say Nigeria, but Nigeria's got 100 and something tribes, right? And so they all have different histories. They all have different social constructs, different cultural, things that they have to, that you would have to adapt to in their environments. So this is important for our brothers and sisters coming home. Learn those different things before you come, so that you can put yourself around people that you identify with. And that's what this show is about. Ignorance is not an excuse. It's not okay for you to just say, I don't know nothing about those people, I'm not going. Learn, study, build those
Yeah.
relationships, find out firsthand from people who've been there, been on the ground, who, have those people in their constant environment, and then develop, a better understanding of where you fit in. Sister Yah, come on, let's bring yours. What's your first misconception? What's your first stereotype? What do you have for us on Exodus Radio?
okay. So I did some for each side, some misconceptions that continental Africans have about us, and then some that we have about them, because
Right.
it's a learning thing for both sides. We have to learn each
Yeah.
other. One of the misconceptions that continental Africans have about us is that we're lazy, that all we're all into this gangster thug thing, and I know that's because of television. Also, that Black American women, specifically because of how we're portrayed on TV, that we're sexually just promiscuous and we're just easy. Let's see. Oh, and
All right,
uneducated.
wait. Don't give all of them. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. I wanted to.
Those are some really good ones. These are very good things to bring up, and that's
Very,
because
very.
when we're coming home, we have to understand the perceptions that people have been given about us before we arrive. It's very important, especially for those of us who are looking to make a aspect of change in this space, to understand what those misconceptions are, and then to be able to actively dispel them, not just with words, but with our actions and character. And I'm saying that to say, if, like my sister Yah says, that a lot of times local Africans, whatever they know about us from TV or movies, is typically something, gangster, illegal, negative, these type of perceptions. Then we know that when we come back, we have to flip that around. We've got to show the opposite. we've got to come with our head on straight. We've got to come with our respect. We have to come with, our humility versus our egos. And we see that, translate into trouble for certain people. We don't have to say names, but these type of things are where those troubles began, right? I came into a community that doesn't necessarily know anything about me, and I literally fed right into whatever stereotype they had in their head. And that does not help not only you, it doesn't help anybody coming behind you. So we got to be really careful how we conduct ourselves, and sit down and have these kind of hard conversations. One of the things that we've done since we've been here, my wife and I, is have the hard conversations with our local brothers and sisters. We do that all the time. We sit down and we literally talk to them about what really matters to them, what challenges they face, what are y'all up against, and we wholeheartedly let them know the same thing about us. This is where we come from. These are the challenges that we face back home. This is what the media might not tell you about us. This is how much collective development we do have in our community that they don't show, etc. So we have to try and dispel these myths wherever they come up. Sister Ya, that was a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I chime in on that one right there, man?
Go ahead.
On the flip side, I got 2 points. On the flip side, we get taught all of the same things about, not all, but many of them, about Africans as well, growing up in America. They stink, they don't use deodorant, they got bad hygiene, they just want to come close for citizenship. Don't trust them with love affairs.
That's one of the ones on my list.
Wait. Hey, don't give them all away. That's one. You're right.
But it's true. And I appreciate what you were saying, y'all, because these perceptions, they preset how we're going to engage each other. And we don't control the media space that indoctrinates us. And so even what we're doing here, ignorance is no excuse.
It's no excuse.
Hopefully, this is the independent media capacity that we have to create to begin to disseminate the truth. Because the reality is that from my own experience here, there's no difference between me and none of these Africans here.
Right.
None.
That's right.
I'm talking
when you really get down to it, you realize that on a wholehearted level.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here together in Ebola. During Ebola, we had to survive Ebola together, and where I was from didn't matter.
Man,
what language I was talking didn't matter. We went through the struggle together, and so that's when you get to see the humanity of Africans, is when you endure our struggle with us. I think that we really have to have this conversation more around this one topic that Sister Ya just brought up. It's so significant. Africans living in the diaspora from the continent need to have these conversations with us out there too. It's not just something to do on social media. This is something to actually gather around and itemize these discussions and have them.
That's very true.
I appreciate that one right there. That was good.
So I have one, and here's my first stereotype or misconception that I believe we have to get out of the habit of sharing and resharing, a mentality that I hear a lot. And that is that when I hear my brothers and sisters in the diaspora say, why didn't Africans come help us during slavery, during Jim Crow, during these times of our despair in the West? And I think there's some really important things that our brothers and sisters in the West have to understand about Africa before that judgment can be made. The first thing we're going to say is colonialism. Okay, if you don't understand how colonialism works, I'm going to break that down for you. During the same time that we were being transported across the ocean and forced into chattel slavery, the places, we can't even say countries, because most of that time they weren't even designated countries. But the continent where we are now, these regions were literally governed by force, under force by the French, the Portuguese, the English, etc. Many of the countries here on the ground, the citizens could not even get a passport to leave here, far less be able to go overseas and help Black people in America. Many of them were not able to even transverse their regions. You couldn't even travel outside your region without special permission from a white governor
I'm
or
glad
a
you brought
white
that
constable. You know, that travel was almost non-existent. We're talking about like,
they
you know,
were
you
still trying to
stuck.
hide and go into the bush and try to avoid
Right.
being captured.
And and at the same time, they were having their own uprisings and fighting, you know, against these different colonial structures and having their power struggles. They were literally under not the same type of oppression that we were under, but under a equal but
Yeah.
different struggle to
Yeah.
where they had no control here. And that, let's give you a really good point of reference on that. This only ended in the 1960s. In the 1960s, at the same time we were getting civil rights in America, the colonial powers were, easing up on Africa. So anything prior to the 1960s, just consider 99% of the population here couldn't even get a passport. If they could, it was only because they were a member of the government or somebody who was bought and paid for to be able to travel back and forth for the purpose of the colonial powers. But they were not a people who had their own, fleets. They weren't able to board airplanes. And then at the same time, there was no media. I was here 20 years ago in 2001. And literally when I was here, 99% of the households in this country did not have a television. Did not have a television. Whenever there was a soccer game, 2 blocks worth of households would go to one house that had a TV, and everybody would sit outside in the yard or at the front door. 300 people sitting at the door of one household watching one TV to watch the game. And this was in 2001. This was in 2001, you know what I'm saying? So just picture before that, how much access did people have to international news? How much did they know about what was happening overseas? There was no newspapers crossing oceans, right? There was no radio to turn on and hear these type of things. So ignorance is not an excuse, all right? We can't allow the fact that we didn't know that barrier was there allow us to alienate or create these kind of division between us and our continental brothers and sisters. The struggle is real on both sides.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can I come in? I want to say a couple of things. So everybody knows I just celebrated my 50th birthday in September. And
that's right.
Yes, and I celebrated it here on the continent, here in Ghana. I was very happy that I was able to do that. But the point I want to bring up is I'm from Mississippi, okay? I grew up in rural southern Mississippi. A little girl running around on the dirt roads. My granddad, I was born in a row house on a plantation where my grandfather was a sharecropper, okay? So somebody said to me that, and I thought about it and I said, they're right. Somebody said to me that people from the South in Mississippi and from the Caribbean adapt to Africa better because Africa is still, like, in terms of developmentally, it's back in the 70s, you know what I'm saying, 80s. For the most part, it still is, unless you go to the city. But when you go into those little enclaves and those little villages in town, it's still like back in Mississippi when I was a little girl running up in them cotton fields on those dirt roads. And maybe that's why we had an outhouse when I was a little girl. We had an outhouse, okay? So maybe I remember when they built the inside toilet on our house. I remember that. I remember that in my mind. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I said all that to say that may have a lot to do with the fact that nothing really bothers me too much. The only thing that really bothers me is when the lights go out for too long. But other than that, all those inconveniences, it still has that down home Mississippi thing that I grew up in as a little girl. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't feel any kind of way about it. You know what I'm saying? And
she's like, I'm used to this.
Yeah, I ain't new to this. You know what I'm saying? And that may also have some, and the people in the Caribbean as well. It's kind of the same thing for people from South America and the Caribbean. So they are able to come over here and it not be that much of a culture, a shock, in terms of your ability to adapt to things, to a lot
Right.
of the infrastructure inconveniences, So
That's right.
I just wanted to,
Yeah.
throw that out there and say that you have to know that my mother, Ghana got its independence first. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first country that's got its independence. My mother is older than Ghana. Let me say that again. My mother is older than the country of Ghana. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
that's that's that should hit some folks. Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. And likewise,
Exactly.
my parents are older than the country of Senegal as it pertains to
Yeah.
Yeah.
independence. That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
something that, and I think that kind of bridges into another one, just to kind of finish that statement, for even the people who have the recycled misconception that African governments are inherently corrupt or unstable or without power, etc. Just take in consideration what my sister Ya just said. The country of
Yeah.
Ghana is younger than my sister's parents.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying? Likewise, in Senegal, the country of Senegal
Here
is younger
too.
than my parents. And so you're talking about countries who are only 50 years into their economic development, political development, etc., versus a U.S. who may have 177 years or something crazy, right?
And
So this is something that
who built theirs off the back of free labor from our people.
right,
So
right,
you want to
right, right.
compare a country that's nearly, a 200-year-old country that has 200
They
years
have
of,
free
or
labor,
400 years of free labor to
right?
a baby country that just
That's
is
building
getting
by
started.
itself. Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is something we have to understand. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the point that Sister Yah was saying about the royal blacks from royal areas in America, and coming to Africa, where Africa is still pre-industrial. Africa is still rural. Even in most of the
That's
cities,
right.
it feels like a town,
Right.
a southern
Right.
town. So at least some of the closeness and some of the ways of doing things are there. And I remember I grew up in the north. I grew up in Pennsylvania, but my family always packed us up and took us down to South Carolina, and we had that experience. I lived in South Carolina 2 years when I was younger, a child. So just the whole experience was different than the projects.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The whole
Right.
experience, it was just different than and I learned things. I learned I got exposed to rural life, and it really helped me when I came back here. It really, really helped me. I had to rely back on my ability to just walk on a
To
dirt road
navigate.
with no
Yeah.
lights,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And
figure
likewise,
and not
growing
freak
up
out.
in Georgia is the
Yeah.
same thing for me. I grew up in pre-Olympic, pre-Olympics Atlanta. Right. That's when everything was still woods and forests before it got all developed. But likewise, man, these are the kind of things that are transferable when it comes to those life skills.
Yeah, let me add this too. I want to add this too. We're talking about colonialism. Colonialism, um, European colonialism and Arab colonialism and different forms of colonialism have happened here. A form of a new form of Chinese colonialism is right now in Africa trying to mature. So colonization is when the sovereignty of a people is stolen away from them, and the political power or the political sovereignty of another people is imposed for economic and social exploitation from one group by the other. So as soon as the European came here and started setting up castles and started fighting wars against themselves over the exchange in African goods and African labor, that was it. That was about it for them right there, man. That was the beginning of colonialism. Colonialism and slavery has the same exact origins. As at the moment that they begin to exchange our people, they also begin to colonize Africa. And so,
Right. Right.
we understand that, and we say, well, what happened in the century before the Europeans began to come down the West African coast? What was happening in our West African region? And there
Right.
was, what was happening in Spain and Portugal at the same time. It was under Moorish leadership. It was
That's
under
right.
Moorish leadership, and then 100 years later, by the time that Columbus reached the Caribbeans in 1492, it was no more Moorish rule. So what happened to that? What happened to the Moors? What happened to that Moorish sovereignty? It it ran down across the Sahara, man, and it began to attack Mali Empire and Songhai. That's what the history says. It talks about the Almoravid armies. It talks about the Tuareg invasions, and the jihadism that hit the region, and how it actually fueled new colonial developments for Afro Arabs in this region, and then also the transatlantic slave trade. So it's a whole
Right.
lot to consider, bro. It's a whole lot to consider, but absolutely
Yeah.
right, man. Colonialism has happened to us mentally. It has happened to us spiritually. It has happened to us holistically in every way that we can
Economically.
imagine. And so, yeah. So economically, look at our financial situation. It's a product of being colonized.
That's right.
You know, look at our education. It's a product of being colonized. So we have to decolonize the African,
Mhm.
so the African way of life and the African diet, the African
Right.
everything. You know, I'm preaching to the
Decolonize,
choir.
reprogram. We gotta
Absolutely.
reprogram ourselves. We gotta re-educate ourselves because
That's
we've
what
been
Van
so
Gogh did.
perpetually educated as they want us educated, and we've got to turn it around and understand where our true power lives. So fast forward, so coming towards modern day, we got into a little bit of the historic stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I want to jump up and go to my sister Yas. So present day, you see many repatriates on the ground. In fact, you guys represented at the town hall in Ghana the other day. I saw you guys were with Gina, the African superstar.
Yeah.
You were with Abdel Kambon and other members of repatriate families. Right now, what are you seeing in Ghana as a misconception, or people who come to Ghana and leave, and then you hear of their experiences? What types of misconceived notions do you hear present day?
People thinking that everybody in Ghana is trying to gyp them or trying to overprice them or trying to get over on them. And I just recently had a conversation with a Ghanaian brother, and I think what we don't know coming from the West is that you have set prices in the West. People have a set price for everything. You know, everything has a set price. We
Right.
don't grow up in a culture of negotiating in the West. You know, somebody's selling something, they tell you what their price is, and that's pretty much it. You either buy it or leave. You know what I'm saying? Africa has a culture of negotiation, and you
Right.
got to be prepared to get your negotiating skills up. Okay, and if you just go with the first price that they throw out there, then you might get got.
You might get took. Just to be real with you, you might get took. I can't tell you how many times I've been with like a member of the diaspora. They're with us, perhaps here. We're in a tourist place, maybe places like Goree Island and these kind of places where a lot of tourists gather, a lot of Europeans, etc. And somebody will offer to sell them something. Hey, I got these necklaces or whatever. And the person, the guest, will say how much. That salesperson will spit out a price, and these. Let me just be honest. Sometimes these prices are completely out of line, but they're not actually expecting you to go with it. And before anybody can respond, that guest is like, I'll take it. And you're like,
And then
wait,
they
slow
turn around
down.
and say, and then they turn around and say, "Oh, they are just jipping me. You know, they just took all
They
my
hit
money."
me
No,
up. I
no.
ran through my money too
Hey,
quick.
Let me give
Yeah,
you a
that
prime
might have been
example.
your fault.
look,
Yeah.
look. On
Yeah,
top
let
of
me give
that,
you an
look on top of that too. Look,
example of a little something that recently happened to me. So I had to go to immigration to renew my residency because we already had residency, but since I've been out of the country, it expired, so I had to renew, right? So I'm on my way to immigration, and I got to a certain point that's not far from immigration, probably a kilometer. And somebody told me you should only pay about 2-3 Ghana cedis to get from that spot to immigration.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew what I should be paying. So when I got there and I asked the taxi driver, I said, look, I'm trying to go to ministries, to immigration. So how much is that? And he said 10 CDs. And I sucked my teeth real loud and I just turned around and walked off, right? And this guy started screaming, Madam, come back. You're supposed to negotiate. You're supposed to tell me your price.
Seriously, a lot of salespeople here will get mad at you if you don't negotiate with them. If you walk away on the first price, you can really piss somebody off because in their mind, that's what comes next. If I tell you $100, I'm expecting you to come back and say, I got 50. And then that guy's going to come back and say, I can't go below 90. And then you're going to say, yeah, but I can't do more than 75. And you're going to find a happy medium. But if when that guy says $100 and you go, hell no, that's too much, and walk away, he's going to be very angry at you. He's going to be very upset with you.
Absolutely.
So, Madam, come back. You're not supposed to walk away. You're supposed to tell me your price.
That's right. That's how it works. And this is one of those things when we say relearn, when we talk about relearning our culture, this is something that we have to relearn. This is a very natural and normal thing here on most communities on the continent, people. This is not taking advantage of you. This is not something that's specially done for foreigners. Even local people have to negotiate for everything they buy. Yeah. Whatever it is, you walk into the market, you have the opportunity to negotiate, to haggle. Don't try to, push prices down to where the person selling them can't make a living, but, just keep the understanding that that person is expecting you to negotiate with them. So
but now they'll tell you what their last price. That's the last price.
That's true.
Meaning,
that's true.
I'm not going any lower than that. Sometimes when I don't want to go through all the haggling, when I just ask them straight up, what's the last price?
Right, and that's where you gotta respect the last price. If the guy say, look, man, last price $80, get that man his money, man. Go ahead and pay that brother, man. Go ahead and shop with that man. It's important. We have to understand that as returnees, it may not feel like that sometimes. And obviously, we have our struggles too. We're not rich. We're not all wealthy, but we do have a responsibility to contribute economically. We want to come back and be able to spend money with our brothers and sisters, and then be able to say that, these people support me. These people shop with me. These people care about my bottom line. They're not just here to just run my cost in the ground, right? So we got to have that kind of mutual respect in the commercial and retail world here.
Yeah. Let me add to that too, bro. A lot of our people that you're going to engage here in Africa, because everything y'all saying is correct. Like, people will always give you how much they want to make, how much they're charging you, and then it works down to the last price. But there is also, to be honest, there's people who will look at us instantly and know this is a Black American. I'm gonna get this money, and so we can't. At the same time, we can't act like that don't happen, because that happens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's why.
Oh, I know that's why he said 10 CDs. I know that's why he said 10 CDs.
Yeah. That's why it helps to have. That's why it helps to have people who live here, and that's why it helps to have people who understand your situation and can go and take those buys for you. Especially when you're talking about renting. If I go look for a place to rent, they're gonna give me the price in dollars. They're gonna say, give me $1,200, $1,300. But if I send my friend, they're gonna tell him in Leon's, and it's gonna be a lot cheaper.
It's gonna be a lot cheaper.
So you gotta know.
But my husband, Foday, Chief, my husband, those people that know my husband now lives in the United States and everything, they will do the same thing to him. He's Ghanaian. He comes back to his neighborhood. They know he lives abroad. They do the same thing to him. So they're not just targeting you.
I was gonna say I see the same thing. Even they do the same thing to locals. I think the only difference is that local knows that this is the part where we negotiate, and they engage into that negotiation. Whereas we hear a price, think of it as a set price, and immediately give a no or yes. And if we just immediately give a yes, nine times out of 10 you paying too much. That guy's really looking at you like, damn, you was supposed to talk me down. But all right, if you agreed at that amount, then maybe that's in your budget. Pay me what you say you can agree to.
Yeah.
You know, but and if you don't immediately negotiate it, you just walk away, then you just kind of create an atmosphere of like, oh man, what? Like you don't know what you're doing. It's a skill. It's a skill.
It's a skill. Hey, bro, and plus on top of that, man, like we need to learn that shit. We really need to learn how to take what we got and bargain with it, because we seem to just be stuck in a one price world, coming from the West. And then if you look deep,
it's funny you say that, because somebody just said in the chat, somebody said he said I'm from the ghetto. We still negotiate everything.
Hey, bro, listen. I was just about to say that. It depends.
That's a black thing.
It depends on what class you're coming from, even in America. Just like
right.
y'all was talking about coming from the South and being able to adapt to the environment better. You know, somebody coming from the streets is going to adapt to this African hustle better too. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Mm-hmm. And I think it has a lot to do with just really being in tune with the people that you're around, because everything don't even have to be verbal. Sometimes everything don't even have to be in the same language. Sometimes you guys don't have to speak the same language to understand how to to maneuver with each other, to negotiate, to come to a common terms and ground. So be in tune, man. Be in tune with the people. Have that kind of you got to have something that you got to have in your heart that makes you know that even if there's a difficulty here, I can effectively communicate to where me and this person can come to a common ground. You know, have that in your heart, man. Be prepared to build with your people and learn how things are done here.
Absolutely, I agree.
Right. So another thing. So we're gonna keep moving. So another thing that I have, and we're going to talk about something else really quick after that, and then we're gonna come back to this conversation. But one other thing that we find here on the ground that's a misconception, even about the reverse, right? So the local Africans about us, and somebody also said this in the chat, is that we all come back that we're all either rich or from some celebrity lifestyle. And a lot of times that does or can pose a challenge in the way that we understand each other. We're not all like Beyonce and Will Smith and whoever else that has been in the spotlight and kind of made Black America abroad look like perhaps bigger than we are. We come from a lot of challenges, and that's something again I mentioned a little while ago that we have to talk to our brothers and sisters about here and just kind of let them know, like, sometimes, like, man, if you know the struggles that we come from, you would know that we're a lot more alike than we are different. And so that's important for our local brothers and sisters to understand about us. We're not all well-off movie stars, and we got to get past that part.
One of the things that they find difficult to believe, and I understand why they find it so difficult to believe. A lot of the Africans that go abroad flex and perpetrate a fraud like they balling out. They don't tell them that they living up in a house with 5 other folks, or they sleeping in a walk-in closet, and they're all sharing. I'm for real. They don't tell the truth, right?
It's very true.
And they don't tell the reality of it until and also for us, when they're looking at us, they're looking at what it cost you $1,200 to buy a ticket, and it took them a year to get that money in the equivalent. So for them, you are rich. So for them, not only did you buy that $1,200 ticket, you came over here and you're staying in a hotel and you're eating out every day and you're traveling. So you are rich. To them, you are rich.
To them,
and you know what I'm saying. But they don't really know that it took us the whole 3 years to save up that ticket and get that money to make that lifetime trip to Africa. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true.
It's not like it was, but
these kind of conversations have to be had. Mm-hmm. These kind of conversations have to be had between them. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And even in that same right, even in that same right, it goes the other way. Even with a lot of the local Africans who are rushing to get to the West, and this is something else that we hear always circulating. If Africa is so great, if there's so much potential, if this, if things are getting better, why are Africans rushing to America and the West? And the truth of the matter is because many of them are misled by the same things as Tanya just said. Either A, they're misled by what they see in Hollywood and TV and rap music videos, etc., or they're misled by their brothers that traveled abroad and now have to portray this image of I'm doing well. So we have to be real with our brothers and sisters here when we see them, telling us, "Hey, I'm trying to get to Europe. I'm trying to get to America. I need a green card, etc." That's the time for us to have a real conversation with them about what they could potentially face on the other side. Because chances are nobody has ever done that. Chances are the only thing they've heard about over there is I can get rich quick. I got a lot of money to send back home. I'm going to be able to, get an education quick, fast, etc. They don't know about student loan debts. They don't know about the cost of living. They don't know about, all these other challenges. And we got to be, the black tax. It's real. It's real. And they should know that.
The black tax is a real thing. And a lot of black Americans don't know about the black tax. The extra money that you pay in America
to live poor.
Just for being black.
Just for being poor.
There's a brother that wrote a book about it. It costs us more to live in America just because we're black. Okay.
Right.
They charge us higher interest rates on loans.
Seriously.
You can have the same credit score. You can have the same income as your white counterpart. Same age, everything, but you're going to pay more for that mortgage. You're going to pay more in interest on that car loan. That's the black tax.
That's the black tax.
And the other things, the redlining, the discrimination in the real estate market. Just in every area of human activity, how we are, the criminal justice system, which I could talk forever on. The disparity in treatment, how you're going to get treated differently in the court system, just everything simply because you are black. So these are the things that, that they are not looking at from the outside that we are, but I know
that
black people
we know about.
There are black Americans who, who are oblivious to these things as well. And it's happening to them. Like it's literally, they are the victim of these things and they don't even know it.
Right.
Let me say this. I do a lot of work with street youth here in Freetown. And when you know the history of Sierra Leone and you understand what generation of street youth I'm talking about, the babies from the Civil War, now grown, 20 plus years old, they haven't gotten the educational opportunities that we got. They can't find a job. They don't have any hope. So when they see us, they're like, yo, they got jobs, they got hope, they got education. If I go there,
and they don't know it's 30 million people in America unemployed right now. That's what they're missing. Are you going into a place where it's already 30 million people unemployed?
But I can tell you in the DC area, these brothers come over here, especially the ones that don't have their papers, and then they're doing shit ass jobs, cleaning white people ass in nursing homes, or they're working in a car wash. I mean, they left all the way from Africa to come to America, and they're working in a car wash, washing cars, for minimum wage, and they're living up in an apartment with 5 other people in a little corner. You know what I'm saying? But they're gonna flex on social media because they're in America and they're not telling the truth. But some of them
they don't want nobody to know that they're going through that struggle.
Yeah. Some of them some of them have even told me that even if you tell the truth, they won't believe. They think you are just trying to discourage them,
or trying to hide your money. They think he's just saying that he don't want to send no money home.
Hey, look. We've had these discussions. I mean, in group setting here with the youth, and I even had a guy ask me if vampires are real. Are vampires real out in America?
What?
I said vampires.
What?
It was because the influence of media, Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? on the minds of people who didn't get an opportunity to learn, who's
Right.
predominantly illiterate. You know what I'm saying? They had that young mind of thinking like, yo, maybe vampires are real. They asked me this. I was like, yo,
That's
I
wild.
snapped on them.
That's wild.
And once you can educate the people and they understand it, it's a wrap. Once they can see
Right.
it, and then they say, well, I want to go there, but I want to go get education and come back. They
Right.
change their reason for wanting to go. It doesn't mean that they don't want to go. They've changed their reason after a small conversation. So I agree, man. I've been doing that out here, man, for years, and it works. So many youth have better understanding of what the youth go through in America because absolutely, man, we have to be
Facts.
able to teach
Facts.
the youth, especially the young.
And that's important. That's important for our brothers and sisters who's coming back, starting businesses, looking to invest into different areas of industry here on the continent. You know, make sure you get the young local people involved in those businesses. We have a responsibility to each other. And just like we're saying that we should be informing our brothers and sisters who are dying to get across that ocean, telling them what they face over there and the challenges, but we don't want to just discourage them from what they see as an opportunity. We want to replace that opportunity with something equal or better. So for those of you who are looking to start businesses on the continent, you want to come, you want to develop some type of project, do like my brother is saying right here. Get involved with the youth, sit down with the youth, help them to level up. We've done a considerable amount of that here in Senegal through the Give One project and through other projects that we run, where we're helping to develop them in computers, in language, in business, and just apply skills so that they are an asset to themselves and to their communities, and they don't feel like they have to run abroad in order to survive. So again, we should be informing them of their challenges they may face there as they cross these oceans, but also replacing those opportunities with equal or better opportunities right here in these countries on the homeland, so that we can all be empowering the continent.
Absolutely. That will be the result of the reverse brain drain of us coming home. That's the purpose to Exodus, to create home better than anywhere else in the world, so our people can stay and build Africa.
Right. This is so true. So yeah, today's show, guys, ignorance is no excuse. Just because you don't know what's going on, don't let that stop you from getting the information that you need to build these connections and to build these bridges, because this is still an important and integral part of our development as a people globally. We need to know more about each other so that we can, not be offended each other. I see so much online. It's crazy, how many viewpoints are out there. I do understand that a lot of that is trolling. A lot of that is agents. A lot of that is just people throwing in divisive tactics. But at the same time, we have to be equally as loud with the truth, with what we should actually be expecting. And those of us here on the ground have that responsibility. And so speaking about that, and this is where I wanted to switch the course of the conversation just a little bit, and then we'll get back to some of the things on Sister Ya and Chief and my list of misconceptions. What I did want to kind of go into with our folks today is there's always this rush to become the voice. And I just want to hit this from 2 points. Number one, if you come back to the continent and you have these certain experiences, the last thing that should, be your response is to create these channels, these outlets, and just start venting, right? This is an unproductive habit of our people, and we see it back home. It's not just something that's exclusive to the African space. We see this at home, right? Whenever we see something, we ready to rant and complain and make a big deal, and get everybody riled up in drama. Let's resist that urge. It's really important, and I said I want to hit this from 2 points. My second point is, watch who you guys are getting your media consumption from. Okay? Watch who you're getting your media consumption from. It's becoming apparent that a lot of people have something to say. and few of those people have the experience or qualifications or credentials to say much. And many of them are just spouting a lot of conjecture, a lot of troll comments, a lot of clickbait. Let's stop feeding into that kind of media, and especially those who claim to be able to help reconnect you with the continent. Let's take it really serious when we say, if you don't have the experience or connections or resources to do this, we're not feeding into it. And I think as a people, we have to be able to make the distinction between those people who are taking advantage of us for clickbait, for views, for subscribers, versus those of us who are actually on the ground, actually building projects, actually connecting people, actually bringing resources. So we need to separate those two, and we need to really kind of starve one of them of our attention, because it becomes divisive. And so we need to start retraining our thought process. This is a re-education period. We don't want to re-educate ourselves with the same old ignorance that miseducated us to begin with, right? So if you're in the mode of re-education, if you really want to learn how to connect and really want to actually get involved and get, invested, these types of things, come to people who are, having the ability to do that effectively. All right. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. Anything you guys want to approach on that topic, Chief, Sister Ya? Can y'all hear me? Looks like both of you guys went. Oh, okay. Okay. So I said, anything you guys want to approach on that topic?
I'm sorry. I was just talking and I didn't. I had muted my thing because I was trying to get my daughter to bring my laptop because my phone be ready to go dead and all that. And I didn't want y'all to hear me in the background. Bring my phone. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And listen, you're absolutely right, brother. Get with reliable people. Even if you don't want to. If you don't if something about Sister Ya you don't like, that's fine. I don't care. I want you to get over here. I don't want you to be in a bad situation. I'll put you in contact with somebody else that can help you there who maybe click better with you. Because I'm getting people coming over here and I'm seeing some concern. And some people, I'm talking to them blue in the face and they're still not doing what I'm telling them to do. And I know that when shit gets fucked up, excuse my French, they're gonna be calling me. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, right. I already know, but I'm like, just do what I'm telling you to do from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And let me just take a minute before we get to our list. I'm gonna say this on every call because I need y'all to understand it. When you get here, get your residency. I don't care which country. I don't care if it's where RJ is. I don't care if it's where Chief is. I don't care if it's in Gambia. I don't care which country is it if you're in. Get your residency. That is your number one first priority is to get your residency. I can't say it enough. Find out what the requirements are in the country that you want to go to be there legally. That's the first thing that I'm going to tell you to do. Don't come to me talking about, Sister Ya, I'm here and I want to start a business. Do you have residency? That's the only thing I'm saying. Do you have residency?
Yes, you need that. For any one of those things. Start a bank account, any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's the same thing. It's the same thing here.
Go ahead, brother.
They have different forms of residency. Like if you're coming to be like a volunteer to help out the community development or something like that, they got one that you pay, I believe, like $100. It's 1 million leones for that one, and then you gotta pay 5 million leones for the business residency. But with the business residency, you can have a residence, you can have a business, you have a bank account, you can do everything you need to do anywhere else in the world, but you're just not a citizen. Hey, Sister Ya, I second everything you just said because this is something that every time that we get a consultancy, They ask, what do I do first? What kind of paperwork? We say the same thing. You
Right.
should get your permanent, even if you're leaving in 1 week. If you
Get your
plan to
paperwork.
do something, when you go back here, put yourself on the books.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me into. Go ahead, brother.
I was going to say also, make sure that you have an attorney. When you come here, it's very easy to find attorneys and go see who best you can go to and say, listen.
Even more than one.
Absolutely. I'm new here. I got X, Y, and Z to do. What's your advice? Here, take this little token. You know what I mean? And gain the information that you need. The difference is that, coming from America, we would say, well, that's easy. I can do that. But you won't have the same experience if you don't have people on the ground that have those connections. That's
right. That's right. Always have somebody on the ground that can inform you. I think a lot of us, we have this independent mind frame. We like, I can do it. I've visited certain countries on my own. A lot of places here on the ground are different, guys. Have somebody with you. I even had a guest want to book a trip, and the sister was like, well, maybe I don't need a guide translate. I can just find my way around. I highly, advise against that, especially if you're coming for the first time, especially going to be moved around in these cities. Have somebody with you. Have a close, trusted person, a guide, a translator. Have somebody that can, be able to negotiate on your behalf in certain instances, and just make sure that you abide by that place's rules and not just rules, but cultural nuances. We don't have to take our ego everywhere with us, right? Sometimes you got to just take it down a notch, understand how things are done where you are, and play fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Plus, also on top of that, we were talking about getting the permits and things like that. That's very important. And talking to lawyers, making sure that you're legally getting the right advice, because you can easily take the advice of a Facebook friend and break the law and not know it. And then on top of that, there's a lot of people promoting tours, and every country got its own laws around that. Like in Sierra Leone, you have to have a travel agency certificate, or you're not supposed to legally be touring people around the country. But of course, you can organize a group and come with somebody and got 10 people at great risk and never know. And it's illegal to do that. That's why we have a travel agency, because we're legal, we're legitimate. We can actually go to the government. Yeah, we can go to the government and say, look.
That's from any level of business, not just travel. Any level of business, go and get licensed. Get your business registration. Taxes that these countries are asking for. The taxes they're asking for is nowhere near what I'm asking for. 9 times out of 10, you can be able to at least contribute to that local economy. This is our responsibility important, and hold that close to us when we're coming back into someone who's welcoming us into their environment, right? So get registered, get your business license. Don't just sit down and just start doing stuff under the table. If something goes wrong, right? You just jump online and be like, oh, I'm doing business. With what paperwork? With what licensing? With what attorneys?
Office space and pay a year up in advance, and you start doing business. In Ghana, there are certain businesses that you cannot even engage in because you're not a citizen. And then when
we got people who sit down on
you, they
gonna roll up.
And then you're gonna want to call Sister Yacht. Then you're gonna want me to try to figure out something. Don't call me then. Don't call me then.
When you're in trouble. Get licensed, get registered, get your tax ID, get local bank accounts, get your residency, get your certifications, legal documents for whatever type of business you're in. Go straight to the government offices and administrations and ask them. If you can't find nobody else, go and ask them, hey, look, I want to be in this kind of business. What does it take? We have to protect ourselves, and we have to protect the people that work with us. And for those of you who are coming, make sure you make that distinction. I can't stress that more. Everybody that's on Facebook that says, "Hey, I just rented a house and I got an extra bedroom. You can come rent rooms with me," is not necessarily somebody that can provide a professional level of service to welcome you on the ground. Yes, we can do things collectively with people we know. I'm not saying don't work with your brother or sister, but take time to find the people who have legitimate establishments so that you can be protected in the end. If anything goes wrong and you want to report this person, you don't want to go and just be like, I'm reporting a person that's not, even a legal resident, that's not even right. So you want to be able, if you want to report them, they got to be somebody that you can go and take their business name down to the police station, and then that thing is already on record. That thing is already listed with their government, and then there can be some type of process. But if you just come and you're just doing business with so and so who got a PayPal account, I sent so and so, $500, $1,000, $5,000, whatever. He said he was going to help me. She said she was going to help me. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. It wasn't the accommodations that I was expecting, or it wasn't professional, or wasn't the environment I was looking for. Now, how do I remedy that? It's too late at that point. Ask these hard questions in the beginning. Somebody tells you, I can help facilitate your tour, your travel, just like my brother say here. Ask them, where's your travel license? Are you registered? What agencies do you work with? For instance, here in Senegal, we have a partnership with the Senegalese Agency for the Promotion of Tourism. We have a specific on-paper partnership that says that we can provide diaspora assistance in travel. If people can't bring that kind of documentation to you, slow down. And I ain't saying don't still do business with them or contribute to their cause or link up with them when you get on the ground, and then maybe face to face you can learn more about them or how they do business. But if you across the ocean, stop doing business with people who are not certified, registered. Ask those hard questions. Don't feel like it's maybe I will ruin the relationship if I ask him to prove some documentation to me. No, tell them, hey, what. Here in Senegal, we have what's called a NINIA. Your NINIA, that's the number that says, hey, I'm registered with the government. Ask them, hey, what's your NINIA? Are you registered with the Senegalese government? Do you have your paperwork? And if they can't answer those kind of questions, then you should think twice about sending your money. Wait till you get on the ground before you get engaged in those kind of questions.
I'm ready to show y'all. I'm ready to show anybody that actually Sankofa certification. We are certified in Ghana.
Right.
Okay?
Same thing here.
My private companies are registered. I have my tax ID number. I'm a tax-paying citizen in Ghana, so I'm a tax-paying resident.
That's how business is done.
But
I think the misconception is people think that because Africa is a little less developed.
That shows people who have a level of being responsible too. The fact that you even go through get properly registered.
Absolutely.
Right. That shows that you're professional, that you care about not just yourself, but
the fact that you would even take your time and your money to go and get properly registered says something about you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Exactly.
That's big.
Absolutely. And plus for
exactly.
us.
Now, a little bit on, we're going to get off of that, but I want to say something kind of on that topic a little bit. And
Go ahead,
Chief.
No, we would listen to you.
Go ahead.
I think she's got a delay.
Yeah, I think I got one.
Oh, okay. I want to say we got a few people that are coming over here where I don't know why people think that they don't really need money to stay in Africa. People come with $5,000-$10,000 and think that Africa is so cheap they're gonna live forever with this little bit of money, and that is unrealistic. Y'all need to stop being delusional. Stop.
That's a big one, man. That's a big one.
Because all that's gonna happen. I'm telling you the truth. You're gonna end up having to go back.
You end up disappointed, especially if you haven't set up an economic plan. Income.
Yeah. You need a sustainable source of income coming in on a regular basis, or just coming over here with 10, even 15, 20,000. You're gonna go back if you don't have something in place. Okay,
Right.
so
That's
I
very
need
true.
y'all to be a little bit more realistic. I need because I'm telling you this because I'm literally seeing this happen, and
All
people
the
are
time.
coming with this little bit of money and think because they're in Africa that this money is going to last forever, and it's not. And I'm telling them you're going to have to go back. I'm telling them straight up. I'm not
I
holding no
think
punches. I'm keeping it real.
I think that also has to deal with the thing we mentioned a little while ago about people feeling when they leave here that they got taken advantage of, or that their money ran out too quick. A lot of times you didn't come with enough money, and we even see people who come here and they say, all right, I'm looking for an apartment. We give them apartments. Maybe those apartments, they're definitely less than what you would pay in the States. You're having apartments in the $700, $800 range, perhaps, in and around Dakar. And then you'll have people who are, oh man, it's Africa. I heard I can get a place there for $150 a month. I heard I can get a place for $200. But yeah,
But
you
do you
could.
want to live in that?
Right. What kind of environment is you gonna live in?
RJ, when people come to me and say, my budget is $100 a month, I'm like, are you ready to live for? Are you ready to have that standard of living? If you're
For
not
real.
ready for that standard of living,
For real.
then come on. I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, Sister, y'all, I can't do that standard of living. I cannot.
I don't think most Americans or Western returnees could handle that standard of living. I've seen people try, and it's not easy. You got to pay for the accommodations that you're looking for, the standards that you're looking for. If you want running water around the clock, if you want power, around the clock, if you want internet, connectivity, if you want, the more decent roads. I ain't even gonna say the best roads, but sometimes you can be in even the best neighborhoods, and sometimes the roads can still be messed up. But if you want that better standard of quality and ease of access, be prepared to pay more. It's not everything is not that. There are places in Senegal where you can rent a small apartment for $75, $100, $150. It exists, but those conditions are going to be a far shot from what you are prepared to stay in or what you expect. So raise the budget up a little bit. Like my sister said, don't show up with $5,000 and think it's going to sustain you forever. Have a really good plan as far as what you're going to be doing economically to sustain yourself, and then from there, make sure that you find things in your level, and then you can maintain them. Sister, yeah, that was a very good point. Is there a delay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. But what happened to Foday?
You didn't fall, did you?
No, I dropped my phone.
Oh man. Oh, okay, just the phone fell. Okay. All right. I see Foday in the queue, but it looks like maybe he turned his camera off. I'm not sure if he's busy or not, but looks like he's still in the back there. So yeah, I mean we're about to close out actually here in just a little bit, but we did want to address some really important things in the Exodus, making sure that our people are making the right decisions on both sides of the ocean. That's very important. Before you come, make sure you connect with the right people. Make sure you're getting your information from trusted sources. Make sure you're dealing with those who've been here on the ground and have a trusted track record. And make sure you're not just consuming information by every person that jumps on YouTube. Half of these people on YouTube are sitting somewhere in America, in the West. They're not even in Africa. They're sharing all kinds of, weird, awkward, viewpoints, and having condescending, conversations about what's happening here. We don't need that. You guys, let's try and keep it on the positive level. Let's keep our energy up and make sure that we are receiving the right types of information. Sister Ya?
Yeah. Okay. Another one I got is a lot of diasporans think that all continental Africans are poor and looking for, a green card. And let me just say this. I've seen some of the richest Black people in the world here in Africa.
Right here in Africa.
Some of these, it's like anywhere else in the world. You have poor, you got middle class, and you got rich, and then you got uber rich. You got uber rich people here, and not just one or two, like a lot. It's a lot of them, right?
Facts.
Yeah, and so yeah,
I think that's something. I think that's important to know, especially with our brothers and sisters who are considering finding love on the continent. I know a lot of our sisters often come to us and ask us if there are, legitimate partners for them here. Our brothers come, and a lot of time they see, the beautiful women, and they are interested in engaging into those kind of conversations. Understand what Sister Ya just said. Everybody here is not looking for your green card. Everybody here is not trying to use you for paperwork. That may exist, and at the end of the day, even doesn't matter, right? So if we can help each other to maneuver a little bit, but remember, keep in mind, Africa has a very wealthy population within it. Right here in the area where we live in Dakar, we see Maseratis and Bentleys and Rolls Royces driving. And these are Africans. These ain't white people driving these cars. These are people who
all the time.
Somebody asked on social media just the other day.
When I first started coming to Ghana, I say I never seen so many Maserati, just like regular, in the States you might see a Maserati like a couple times a year. I'm talking about like all the time. Maseratis, Bentleys, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Some of the neighborhoods literally put places like Beverly Hills to shame. Some of these neighborhoods are just crazy. You know what I'm saying?
If you look up Almadi Dakar, the community of Almadi, it's like that. I mean, it's like a little Beverly Hills. I mean, you get back into some of these neighborhoods, there are multi-million-dollar mansions, armed guards at the gate, intercom systems to enter, and you get inside, you got laid out pools and, giant, dining spaces. We've seen it all. Even in, among the communities of the just the different spiritual elites here. If you go to Tuba in Senegal, if you go to Medina Bay, if you go to these kind of communities, these are wealthy families who've been building their wealth for years, for generations. Their great grandfathers left them that land. They built schools, they built hospitals, these are out of their pocket. We're not talking about colonial money. I think a lot of times people hear about wealth in Africa, and the first thing they think is, oh, that must be some white people money, or they must have sold out to white people in order to get that wealth. That is not the case. And more often than not, these are self-made local Africans who use their resources, their land. They got farms. We got people here that make good money off selling peanuts, off of just agricultural crop. You look at him, you don't even know he's rich. This guy got 50 acres somewhere where he's selling 10 tons of crops out the gate, taking in big lump sums. So, keep in consideration, everybody is not desperate for your money. Everybody is not out to get you, for what you can offer them. Some people you might run into here might have way more than you. You be sitting next to a guy looking at him thinking, oh, this is a poor African. And this guy owned land, got houses, got family with, let's keep that in consideration.
When I lived here the first time, and I had to go to the bank, once a week, once every couple of weeks to get some money. My husband would be sending money, right? And I would be just sitting in the bank. This is how I know a lot of Africans got a lot of money, because I would just sit in the bank and watch and to see the money that these people have. I'm watching, I'm eyeballing, right? Now you might look at them and just looking at them, you think, oh, this person, just the deposit they were coming to put into the bank, the money they was taking out. I was like, well, damn,
And they never look like it either. A lot of times they be, the most subtle people too. Yeah, man. Chill
Yeah.
with a kaftan and some some flip flops on, and be for real. Do not prejudge. Do not misjudge.
Chief
Let go
Foday
of the
say he's
stereotypes.
backstage. Chief Foday, I
Oh,
guess
easy.
he
Hold on
can't
one
get
second.
in.
All right. All right. Looks like he's hit him in the queue. He
Can
should
you
be
add him
added
back
here in a
on?
second. It just seems to be like a really delay with the programming today, because everything else is moving swiftly, but the StreamYard program is where it seems like we're finding a glitch. So our apologies to everybody out there for today's technical difficulties, but it happens to the best of us. We're actually going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. And we do want to go ahead and make the announcement. We know a lot of folks heard about the dispute that was going on in the Gambia over the past few weeks. Many of you know that our Exodus Alliance stepped in and offered legal resources and management resources to the disputees in order to come to a resolution. Over the past week, the African Diaspora Returnee Association, led by Shakina Chindu, did an independent review of this particular dispute. As an attorney, she went in and reviewed all documents involved. And there has been great cooperation on the part of the disputees and the complainant, if you will, in the case. And so we want to just let everybody know it's under control. It seems like it's something that we can reach a very simple resolution on. There doesn't seem to be any evident wrongdoing as we can see, but more so maybe just misunderstanding. But again, they are cooperating. That independent review is actually coming to a conclusion today. And we're going to be putting out a statement with some of those findings, just so that we can smooth the minds of those who are worried or concerned about that particular situation. So I want to thank the African Diaspora Returnee Association and Nubian Legal Consultants. I also want to thank Sister Ya Katora from the State of the African Diaspora Chief. All of you guys chimed in, even the elder, Brother Cleophas Miller, President General of the UNIA, was on our mediation call, and everybody offered really great advice and support. Again, we're not here to be the judge of people, but also just to provide the kind of support we all need. These are things that should be active in all of our communities. We should have this in the states as well. We're watching our young brothers killing each other off in the streets. We're watching our disputes end up into big affairs that are larger than necessary in a lot of our communities, and we need these types of bodies that can come in. Be the mediator, be the independent party, help to keep these things to a minimum. And at the end of the day, we just want to keep our affairs out of two things. We want to keep our affairs out of the court systems, and we want to keep our affairs out of the media. We don't want our dirty laundry to be all over everybody's timeline. And it's important for us to be able to reach those kind of mutually beneficial resolutions. And I'm pleased to say that in this case, we have reached that. Sister Ya, anything you want to add before we close out
No,
Exodus
absolutely.
Radio
I just
today?
want to say thank you to the parties involved for their cooperation. And like I said, I think it's just a matter of a lot of it is miscommunication and assumptions, and just from Attorney Chinadu's feedback so
Evaluation.
far, it looks like it is a matter of just not really good communication, and it
Right.
doesn't look like it's an issue of intentional mismanagement or anything
Right.
so
Right.
far. So, like I said, we'll be finishing up the review of all the documents, and I want to
Right.
thank all the parties for being open and sharing everything. I got to say
Lot of
everybody has been very
transparency.
cooperative. Yeah, very transparent. I mean, everything we asked for just laid out to
That's
the
right.
attorneys for a review. So we need
Yeah.
to leave it
Rest
alone.
assured.
Don't,
But
yeah, don't. When you see this type of stuff, family, don't keep sharing it. Don't keep feeding into it. Matter of fact, if you ever see anything like this come up again, why don't you suggest? Why don't you? Because all of us are leaders. All of us in our individual capacities can be leaders. You can
right.
take it upon yourself and step in any situation and say, let us take this to a council of elders. Let us take this somewhere for mediation. Let's resolve this.
Right.
Don't be feeding into all the negative stuff. It makes us look horrible. I mean,
Right.
it makes us look really, really bad. And little do you all know, continental Africans really look up to us. That's a
Yeah,
lot of people don't realize that.
that's the
They're
story less
looking at
told.
us and they look up to us. You understand? So we have to, put our big boy, big girl panties on and be mature in everything that we do. You
That's
know what
so
I'm
true.
saying? But big
That's so
boys
true, my
don't.
sister.
I don't need the big boys to put on panties. I need the big boys to put on drawers.
That's right.
And the
That's
big
right.
girls to
And
put
let's
on panties.
and let's just shake our egos, man. We come home. We coming home to heal. We're not coming home to perpetuate the trauma that we've experienced, for generations in the West. So we come home, everybody. Let's take really good care. Let's pay really good attention to how we shed, our egos. We shed those misconceptions. We shed these kinds of things that make us harbor any anger or, we always, we tense. Even when I first got back, I was the same way. But I had to take time to just detox that out. Do some meditation, right? Get involved in some of these spiritual practices that allow you to, come back to your true self, that allow you to open up those doorways of understanding and clarity. Let's really start doing some work on ourselves, people. Let's love our brothers and sisters. Let's look out for each other. Let's hide each other's faults rather than exposing them. Let's be each other's support rather than the leg that kicks each other down. Let's make sure that no matter who is coming into this continent, they are safe, they're secure, they are, under our, our watchful eye. Let's look out for each other, guys. That's important.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you guys on that note today. Exodus Radio, Sister Ya Santua, Tanya Nkoma, Sankofa Repatriation Assistance Program. Go to her website, sankofarepat.com. Make sure that you guys also visit the link scrolling across the screen, madeafricaproject.com. We offer these services: tours, travel, investment, relocation, export. Make sure that you donate. Go to DonorBox/Exodus Alliance. Make a contribution there. If you want this type of media to continue, if you want our quality to improve, all right, look at the quality. We're suffering some of those stigmatic challenges today. If you want the quality improved, contribute. Don't just sit back and watch and be a spectator. Get involved, make a contribution. We love you guys. And until this time next week, you take care of each other, and we'll do the rest from here.
All right, Black Power.
Black Power!